Very good evening to all of you. Warm welcome to Webstack Academy's course demo and the placement journey session. And my name is Jayakumar. I am part of WSA's leadership team. I'll be one of your mentors who will be taking this session forward. Along with me, my colleague and technology head of WSA, Mubeen, will be joining. Maybe he's already joined. So probably he can pitch in when his session, introduction starts, this one, right? So basically, this particular course demo session is all about WSA's full stack web developer course. Our full stack web developer course primarily focuses on engineering graduates and working professionals to upskill their profile by skilling them primarily in the MERN stack, which is a JavaScript based stack, along with data structures and algorithms, or DSA, so that these individuals become capable or improve their skill set, become capable and build their capacity to start applying for product based companies in working in the web development domain. Okay, so this particular course comes with the placement support also. So basically, this particular session will cover the entire aspect. We are going to cover a broad spectrum of topics, starting with introduction, and also where and how the market opportunities are heading, what are the trends that we are seeing in the market, etc., etc. So I'll be covering that particular session. Then followed by that, my colleague Mubeen will take over the session, and then he will be talking more technical aspects of it, and also he will be doing a hands-on demo of how basically this full stack technology is empowering or powering all the web applications that you can think of. So he'll be doing that, and once he's done with that, I will take back again for the third session, where we'll briefly touch upon placements, how the placement work, and also we'll share you our counseling team's contact details, so that further to this, if you guys have any questions, you can get in touch with our team. Okay, so that's going to be the overall agenda for this particular session. And as much as possible, we'll keep it interactive. Time to time, I'll be stopping by and asking you guys questions. In case you have any questions, you don't need to wait for me to ask. As and when the questions comes to your mind, you can type it in the chat window or the question window, which is already reaching me. You can continue to type there, and then I'll answer whenever I am taking a pause in between the session. So that's going to be the overall protocol. With that note, let us get started. Okay. So to start with, the customary thing is to introduce ourselves. So I would like to first of all introduce Webstack Academy, also about our course, right? So let us take one by one, right? So Webstack Academy, if you see, is got a lot of correlation with our parent organization or a parent brand called Emerzi. Some of you might have been part of our Emerzi related initiatives. Either you made an inquiry or you've been part of our internship program done by Emerzi. So Emerzi is our parent organization, where, which we started about 20 years back, and our goal was to basically work in the skill development area to skill the budding engineers and then help them to discover their careers. That is how we started, because we saw in the market there's a huge opportunity for this skill development activities, because what the academia teaches and then whatever the modern day industries are expecting, there's a huge gap. Mainly that gap is due to the fact that larger amount of the engineering degree is delivered in form of theory, whereas today's modern day jobs require somebody to work on a hands-on skills, kind of bring in a hands-on skill into the table. So that's how our original idea got life, and then Emerzi got started. And then later, as we progressed, we established ourselves in the embedded domain. We consolidated ourselves by offering various training programs, starting the students, corporate organizations, and the and working professionals, etc., etc. So that's how we consolidated. And then naturally, once you get consolidated in one particular domain, the next growth opportunity we saw that we need to go for adjacent technologies, right? So that time, since we come from more of an embedded domain, or that's where we got originated, the natural thing was to diversify into the application domain. So that's where we launched Java trainings way back in the year 2009. If you remember, right, those days there's no concept of full stack web developer. I'll touch upon this as we move forward in this particular presentation. So those days it was more of a independent module training, Java J2E training, and getting a Java certification was a big deal. It was originally owned by Sun Microsystem, which invented Java. Then Oracle has taken over, right? So the certification program, like Oracle certified Java programmer, our Oracle certified web component development programmer, etc., etc. So those were the training programs that we launched, and we partnered with the university from South Korea, where students used to come from the South Korea and then do this course on a long-term basis, right? And then they also do the internship before they head back to the country. So that's why we started our initiatives in the application development space. Then subsequently, Oracle wanted to basically proliferate these technologies among the college students, or the people when they're going through the engineering degree itself. So that time we became the partner with the Oracle workforce development partner. So where we started delivering training programs on behalf of Oracle in many of the campuses, many of the colleges. So that's how we kind of moved further in the application training, and even we launched training based on Android application development, etc. And then we just thought, right, as these things are going along, it becomes quite challenging for us to do both the system related trainings or the core technology, for example, embedded and IoT, and also the application related technologies like web development under the same umbrella, right? So that's when, and at the same time, around 2018, 17, 18 is a timeline where the full stack web development started gaining more momentum due to many reasons. I'll touch upon this in my initial section of the slides, right? So that's when we thought we should be giving a new name to the application training entity or the division or the brand, whatever you can call. So that's why we created this brand called Webstack Academy, or WSA. Okay. So WSA and comes under the immersive parent organization, and we launched our full stack web development course formally in the year 2017, which was more based on the mean stack, right? When you say mean, it's more of a MongoDB, Express, Angular, and Node. That's how we launched. And subsequent to that, the technology landscape has gone through a lot of changes compared to the Angular, which was predominantly proliferated by Google, right? The React framework has taken over due to the way how the developers have adapted. Hope all of you know that React is primarily promoted and proliferated by Facebook then and Meta now, right? And then we thought, right, in the meantime, we continue to do certain trainings for the corporate segment and also some of the trainings in the student segments. And many of you know that we run internship programs for the college graduate, etc. So we're doing that. In the meantime, we also brought in some significant changes in a full stack web development course. One, we replaced the mean stack into MERN stack. We replaced Angular with the front end development framework. That is our library called React. So that way it become a MERN stack. And the other important thing today, is about bringing in the problem solving skills into the table, so that whatever the web application that you are going to build, it should be scalable, and also it should be able to handle millions of connections. So when you're building such a complex application, problem solving, or how you're basically storing the data and retrieving, becomes very important, right? So that is where, to handle the data in a very optimized fashion, the data structures and algorithms comes into picture. So we kind of bundled the MERN stack course with the data structures and algorithm offering, and kind of packaged as a full stack development course with the data structures and algorithms, primarily targeting towards the product development companies, right? If you look at all the modern day companies which we talk about, right, there are still web development, if you look at, like, unlike technology like embedded, right, where the technologies remain stable for a long period of time. If you look at the application development space, it has gone through a lot of changes, right? What started off as a PHP, then became Java, then became Python, then in between languages like Ruby on the Rails came, right? But if you look at MERN stack, which is what powering almost all the modern day web applications, because today's web applications is all about handling scale. It's not about, for example, few thousands of people are using or few lakhs of people are using. For example, think about your social media users, right? Or think about, as I speak, right, I don't know today which match is happening. I think 7:30 the IPL match also will be starting. I forgot who is playing the match today. In case any cricket buffs who are following IPL can type it in the chat window. So basically, this particular what do you call if you talk about IPL, we have the live streaming applications, for example, be it Netflix or Disney Hotstar, right? They're all powered by MERN stack, so that you can handle. I think a couple of days I was looking into the number of watchers who are doing the live watch it. I think probably few tens of crores. I'm not sure, right? Are watching the cricket match live. Right? So it is powering such a scalable applications. That is where the MERN stack comes into picture. So that is what we are going to talk about today. That's a question from Jayasri. What is the objective of this particular session? So the objective of this particular session is two, Jayasri. One, we are going to talk about broadly the trends, mainly the job market trends, right? And also where the industry is heading with respect to the web application development space. One. The second agenda is going to talk about WSA's full stack web development course, so which will be mainly discussed by my colleague Mubeen, right? So those two are the agenda. Hope that's clear. Okay. So moving on, as I know, what as an organization we are trying to do. One, we aspire to solve the challenge of employability. So when you say employability, as you all know, India has become a country of engineers, right? So where every year we have lakhs of graduates who are coming out of the engineering college, and very few percentage of them are having employability skills. So primarily, if you talk about tier 2, tier 3 engineering colleges, right, the gap is even bigger. So what is our goal? Our goal is to offer these hands-on training programs so that these students, primarily coming from the tier 2, tier 3 engineering college, become improve their skill set, right? Give a give a facelift to the profile, and they kind of become ready for the industry. So that's the whole agenda. One of our goal. Second goal is basically to work on the enriched employability. So when I say enriched employability, we see people who are getting into campus job, but they're not getting into profile where they would like to be part of, right? For example, imagine a computer science guy who did their engineering, and then probably he or she is getting into technical support or getting into digital marketing or sales type of jobs, right? So what we do, we basically help them to again upskill them, and then give a facelift to their profile, and then position them in the web development portfolio, mainly in the product development companies. So that's what we continue to do as an organization. So our leadership team consists of three of us who are running this particular organization. So Mr. Maz is the founder and the managing director of the organization. So he's the one who started Emergy, and been running this successfully for the past 20 plus years. So myself and Mubeen, we come with an industry background. For example, I worked for about 12 and a half years in my initial corporate career, worked with three different companies. Started my career with a startup called Ishoni Networks. Then subsequently, I moved on to HP Hewlett Packard, and then I moved on to Huawei Technologies. So predominantly, my experience is been in the embedded systems, IoT related areas. But along with that, because when I was working in some of the products or projects in HP, that is when the cloud computing came in, where it's not only that you are building a device, that particular device has to remain connected with the cloud, right? So that is where I got an opportunity to work with some of the application related technologies, for example, distributed computing, cloud computing, enterprise cloud, etc. So I've driven projects successfully in those particular technologies. So that's where I come from. And in the WSA entity, I play the role of placements. I lead the placements team, and also all the outbound activities. People who have done internships might have seen me participating in some of the induction classes or being part of the initial pre-placement talk, etc. Right? So I'm part of the various outbound activities that we do as a part of WSA, be it internships, be it campus ambassador programs, webinar sessions, and sessions like these demo sessions. I'm part of that, right? So that's a brief about myself. I'd like to pause here and check whether Mubeen is there. Mubeen, are you there?
Yes, Jay. I hope I'm
Yeah,
audible.
yeah, you are audible. Can you just talk a brief about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this course demo webinar. My name is Mubeen, and I work as a technology head at Emergy as well as WSA. Uh, so I'm having it's been like 20 years since I graduated in engineering. I'm coming from computer science background. So primarily at Emergy and WSA, I'm responsible for managing the technical team who delivers training in different technology areas, including full stack web application and embedded systems and IoT. So basically, our goal is to ensure that learners who are interested to learn about different technologies like full stack, web application development, uh, they get idea about how actually these technologies are used in companies, especially product-based companies. So our courses are designed in such a way that you will learn the different technologies in a way it is required by the industry, right? So often when you learn things, we can take an approach wherein we basically learn from books, right? And wherein we don't focus on the application side of it. So we have a team of mentors who are well versed in delivering the different courses, and it's been almost 14 years since I'm working at Emergy. Prior to that, I have worked in two other companies, including HP. At HP, I was one of the lead engineers in print, scan, fax device drivers, as well as I worked in other departments primarily responsible for HP's output management software. And before that, I worked in Novel as a software developer, contributing to Linux and open source technologies. So in at WSA, my responsibility is to manage the technical delivery as well as define the course pedagogy and help student to get placed after completing the course. So that's a brief about me. And today I will walk through you the WSA course pedagogy, as well as I will show a quick demo of how to build a small application in a very short time. So idea is that even if you're not familiar with the topics, we have an approach wherein we can make things easy for you to understand and help build things incrementally. So I'll talk about it more in the upcoming basically slides once Jayakumar completes his set of basically topics. So over to you, Jay.
All right. So thanks, Mubeen. So as I mentioned, right, I will just cover some more slides, and then Mubeen will take over for the demo session. Okay. So give me a minute. All right. So, along with our leadership team, me, Mas, and Mubeen, we have a very strong advisory team with us who have been working in the industry. They're currently part of various organizations. They work with us on more at a strategy level, advisory level, helping us to create the courses, designing the pedagogy, and reviewing the course contents, right, making suggestions, etc., etc., right. It is primarily to ensure that whatever we are covering as a part of the course, it is in sync with the industry needs, right? Because if we do something and whatever the topics that we are delivering, it is not in sync with the industry, then definitely it may not be beneficial for the readers, right? So learners, right? So that's what we do. So in that case, in that way, we are having three of them are part of the advisory team. Specifically, I would like to touch upon the first two of them. The first one is Mr. Jilan Sharif. Jilan is industry veteran, so he has got, I think, more than 15 plus years of experience, and he has worked with companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and currently he's working as a director in Dubai Ports World, so one of the largest, are the largest, port management company. He is based out of US, so he advises on a lot of aspects, including the course pedagogy, etc. So similar to that, we also have Mr. Hari Krishnan. So Hari also has around close to 20 years of work experience. So he's a principal engineer with Broadcom. So he comes with more the system related experience, more on the device driver side, storage related side, distributed computing related side, right? So he is again similar to Jilan. He advises us on the course pedagogy, course designing, project design, and even for that matter, working with our mentors to ensure that they're also understanding what are the industry trends and all, right. So those two are our primarily advisors who work with on the technical side. In the similar line, we have Mr. Vaidyanathan, Vaidya we call him. So he works more with the leadership team, more on the HR side or more on the management side. So we are really proud to have our advisors who play a very important role. And often what happens, being part of day-to-day execution and day-to-day delivering the training programs, etc., right? We don't want to lose the industry sight. So that's where having folks like Jilan and Hari, especially who come from technical background, helps us a lot, because they, day in and day out, they deal with the real-time products, managing people, etc., etc., right? So that's about our brief about our advisory team. And moving on, let us get into the the course and the technology aspect of it. I'm sure some of you will have some of the web development or the web technology exposure. Even if you don't have, let me very briefly introduce the web application, and then subsequently we'll get into the job market trends, etc. That's what going to be covered in the my section, right? Okay. So what I'm going to talk about, right? So if you look at the web application as such, right, the first piece that comes into all of our mind is the front end. Okay. So when I say front end, what you as a user see in your browser screen, or if you are using a mobile app, whatever you are coming in your mobile app, right? So predominantly, if you see three technologies that is powering the front end, that is HTML, CSS, and JS or JavaScript. And initially it started off as HTML, CSS, and then when the web became more interactive, the JavaScript started taking a mainstream. So today it's all about interactive web, right? So that's the first component that we talk about whenever we talk about any web application, right? Then the second component or the second major piece we can think of is that the front end definitely need to connect with the back end. The front end alone cannot exist, right? So suppose, for example, I'm filling a form and then pressing a submit button, for example, right? Or you're uploading a photo into your profile picture, right? So whenever you do any sort of interaction via your application, so basically it has to connect with the back end. So that's where the network comes into picture, the internet, TCP/IP based internet. That's where the HTTP, the hypertext transfer protocol, which carries the web traffic, and then the REST API, which creates actually the hook in the server side, and then the data that I'm going to send, right? It is basically getting sent in form of a JavaScript object notation or a JSON format, and which actually reaches the destination endpoint, right? So you can think of it, for example, I'm driving in a road, right, which is an HTTP, right? Then I'm driving in a car, which is nothing but a REST, right? Inside that my package is there, which is nothing but a JSON, right? So ultimate aim is to send my package to the destination, something like that, right? You can just say on an analogy basis. So coming to the backend, where the entire logical or the business logic comes into picture. And as I already mentioned, the backend has got a lot of options like PHP, Java, JavaScript, Python, Ruby, etc. And today our goal is to build up, or have a backend which is also based on JavaScript. That is what we call it as a MERN stack, right? A subsequent slide, Mubeen will touch upon further about this particular technology, right? So that's about the backend. And definitely today the application is all about having data, right? For example, if you're looking at a social media application, right, more than you are consuming the data, right, equally you're also uploading photos, uploading reels, etc., etc., right? So that's where the data comes into picture, right? So the data need to be handled in the both the ways, when you're sending from the user to the backend, or you're accessing from the backend to the front end. So ultimately the data need to be stored somewhere where the repository or the warehouse comes into picture, which is nothing but a database. MySQL and MongoDB are the popular databases that has been used, right? Again, subsequently we'll talk about it, right? So this is primarily at a high level. What are the four pieces that consist of a web application, right? So now breaking further, if you look at this web application development also has gone through a lot of changes over the years. For example, initial days, if you see, it used to be an independent roles. We had people who are saying, I'm a UI developer or a front end developer, or I'm a backend developer, but I'll be managing a database, etc., etc. Even though some of the roles still exist, for example, a role like UI developer or a backend developer still exists, right? But on the contrary, what has happened is, as the application started becoming more and more agile in nature, we'll talk about agile in the subsequent slides as well, right? Where the where the customers are expecting faster releases from the companies, right? So what happened was, there became a requirement where one particular individual should be able to handle both the front end aspect or the back end and the back end aspect of a web application, right? So that's where the full stack web developer, or FSD, started becoming popular. This started happening, I would say, 4 to 5 years back, and pretty much now today it's a one of the mainstream job roles, and one of the highest growing job market, you can say, right? So the FSD should be able to handle all the roles, right? So the question that I wanted to ask all of you is that in this particular domain, there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of new things that are getting opened up, and companies are continue to struggle to hire. We talk about recession, slowdown, etc., etc. But if somebody brings in real full stack skills into the table, definitely even today companies are finding hard to hire, right? So the question to ask to all of you is that are you ready to take on this particular change, right? Whether you are working in a legacy stack, or you wanted to start your career as a first job, getting into first job, are you ready to change, adapt to this particular full stack developer phenomena and move to the greener pastures, right? So basically, we all wanted to do well in our career, right? So full stack developer definitely is one of the opportunities where you can have a very good career as you move forward. Okay? So this is a brief view about how the web development application and then the various roles have emerged over years. Now, just to make it a little bit simple, the full stack developer, often if you see when you look into the job description, people always use the word called full stack ninja, right? So ninja, you can see the picture, right? He's a warrior with various type of, what you call the weapons, and he can handle, various type of situations, right? So that's why companies use the word called full stack ninja in some of the job descriptions. Also, you can check out, right? Or you can compare the full stack developer with a general surgeon who performs surgery on various organs, right? So a general surgeon, and of course it's IPL season, right? You can compare full stack developer with a all-rounder. For example, here I told an example of Ravindra Jadeja, right? So who can bat, who can bowl, and you can also do a great fielder, right? Okay. So basically, as I mentioned, right, the lines between the front end and the back end of the database has blurred over the years, and today everybody expecting, right, or the majority of the companies are expecting, and they are also prefer to hire full stack developers so that you can play different roles depending on the, like for example, depending on how the match moves, right? The all-rounder player, able to adjust and contribute, right? Similarly, for example, you should be able to design a component in the front end, right? Or there's a bug as reported by in the back end, right? You should be able to fix, or you need to go and tune the database, right? Or understand a particular requirement and implement it end to end, including the front end and back end, and the REST API and the JSON data format, and then the backend database design. Considering all the four components, right, you should be able to implement a complete feature end to end, right? So that's what is all about the web developer, right, or the full stack web developer. Why today we use the words like full stack ninja, and you can also see why this is. I show you some of the statistics, but why this particular role is being so popular, or why every company want to hire a full stack developer. Then first and foremost thing I already touched upon, every website today is become data driven website. When you say data driven website, both on the consumption side, what we take it from a website, right, and also what as a user I contribute back, right? For example, I told about social media, right? It's not only that I am watching a reel, I am also contributing in form of reel, right? And when you talk about a streaming application, right, or not about, if not streaming application, think about application like stock investment application, right? Earlier it used to be applications like what you call ICICI Direct and all, which used to have a demat account. When I'm talking about today a Zerodha or a Growth or any similar type of an application where it is intensely data driven websites. So these websites need to be built really in a scalable manner, which is one of the reason why the full stack developer becomes one of the most sought after roles, right? Second obvious thing, today when I design a website, right, we need to design for millions, not for a few thousands, not for a few lakhs, few millions or even sometimes more than that, right? And then when you're making this release to the customers also expect to get these releases faster. That's the reason why sometimes you need to give some features in the front end, sometimes you need to release some features in the back end. So that is also aiding, or one of the reasons why full stack web developers are becoming more popular. And then definitely the user experience and user interface. Today the UI is everything. When you look into the website, we form opinion in few seconds and then take a decision whether you wanted to basically be in the website or drop off, right? So today the UI engineering has matured quite a lot, where whatever the designer is envisioning in form of a canvas, right, the same thing need to be implemented in form of an excellent UI. And not only that, you are building in form of an UI, that UI should work across various type of screens, right? For example, a desktop or a tablet or a mobile application, which is called as a responsive web application, right? So these are some of the reasons from the user's perspective, right? If I need to explain to why the full stack developers are becoming more in demand in the market, And if you want to explain to the common man who doesn't understand much of technologies, right? So these are the four reasons why the full stack developer has become very much popular, or this has become one of the most sought after roles by all the organizations that you can think of. Okay. So I don't think I need to re-emphasize the importance of how web applications is touching every domain that we can think of, starting with e-commerce, social media, travel, fintech, edtech, right, medical, real estate, entertainment, manufacturing, government, HR, legal, right? Any domain that you can think of today, there is nothing we can imagine today without a web, right? Every domain is touched by the web or a web technology, and that is the backbone of digitization today, right? And a country like India, where there's a huge population, and we kind of skipped our PC revolution, we directly went into the mobile revolution. And today, if you look at, right, gone are the days where only the urban person or the city person is getting information. Information is nobody's property, right? So it's all made possible. The digital divide, everything is made, it's been kind of knocked down, and information is reaching everybody seamlessly across all the domains, right? It is because of this particular web technology, which is acting as a backbone in empowering every application that you think of. Or just think about a scenario: getting up in the morning, going back to the sleep every day, right? How many applications that we use on a daily basis, whether it is purchasing a ticket or chatting with a friend or booking an appointment, right? Or for example, watching a movie, or looking for a whatever, a PG or a hostel accommodation, right? Everywhere it is there. Okay. And specifically talking about the merge stack, right? So one of the reason why, even though there are a lot of stacks are there, a lot of, especially when you talk about stack, when you say, especially when you talk about the backend technologies, right? I already mentioned there are a lot of options, like for example PHP, Java, etc. So we also need to understand why is that merge stack has become so popular, right? So one of the major reason is, right, it helps to build scalable web applications due to the way how this particular merge stack, especially the backend is been designed. And also, right, it consumes relatively for optimal resources. Probably Mubeen will touch upon when he explains about the web application development hands-on session, right? So because of that, if you look at a high level, right, the web application jobs or the web application development jobs, we can start like as low as, like, maybe 10,000 rupees, and it goes as high as probably 4 or 5 lakh rupees, right? So as an engineer, you may be wondering why is that it is there, there's a so big range, right? It's because if you understand the nuances of web development, right? If you understand the engineering aspect of web development, and building the websites for scale, so those are the people who are getting paid high. On the contrary, if you're developing a web application which is used to be, let's say, 100-member team or 200-member team, where you do not need to bother much about the scalability, etc., obviously you will be paid less. Okay. So one of the reason, if you look at, whether it's a product companies, mark companies, farm companies, whatever is the modern day buzzwords are there, they're paying very high. It's mainly because of the skill set that individual brings into the table. Not only that, any of these modern day applications, be it Netflix, be it Airbnb, be it Swiggy, LinkedIn, you know Walmart, which is one of the largest retail shops in the US, right? Or if you think about Twitter, Instagram, Uber, PayPal, and it's WhatsApp, right? Medium just put in the wrong name. So any of these applications, if you look at the modern day web applications, these applications are very much powered by the merge stack. Okay. So that's a reason why we also offer a course in the merge stack, so that you can also skill yourself. And definitely, I'm sure, if you look into this logo, you may be asked, right, who doesn't want to work with these companies, right? Who doesn't want to earn the kind of salary level that these companies are offering, right? So that's one of the reason, right, in order to cater to the needs of companies of this league only, right, we have designed our full stack web development course in sync with what they're expecting. And as we already mentioned, some of the course designers have been part of this organization. Of course, Mubeen closely works with them and design this particular course. Okay. So this is another angle to look at. And having said that, you still see many of the applications are running in the legacy stack. Okay, we are still using the Java J2 type of stacks. But if you see, those applications are more in the maintenance mode. They're just fixing the bugs and maintaining it, right? But any new age application that you talk about, companies are preferring to write it in merge stack in order to achieve the scalability which I mentioned. Okay. So jobs are there in the legacy stack also. But compared to the jobs, right, if you look at the modern day jobs, is where the new age jobs are coming up. and also working in these organizations only, the salary levels can be significantly higher. I hope you know more than me explaining, right? You guys know these numbers better than me. Right? So that's a reason why you should basically consider having skill set in the MERN stack, and also not only having about the full stack development, right? Also having a very sound data structure fundamentals and algorithm fundamentals, right? So that you can apply those data structures, design your application so that it can scale. Okay, so couple of market stats slides, and then subsequently Mubeen will take over. So if you look at the big opportunity in terms of full stack web developer, there are many stats that are flowing around, right? I just want to show I think two or three slides. As of this year 2024, globally we are expecting 8,50,000 jobs in the full stack web development, which is one of the highest growing job market or job role that we can think of, right? And there have been multiple surveys conducted by many of the popular survey agencies, or the developer, or the competitive programming platforms like HackerRank, right? So multiple times the surveys have revealed that full stack developer role is one of the most difficult role to hire. If you look at this particular survey results, if you look at, right, whether as an organization which is having around 1 to 1999 employees, right, are you looking for companies who are more than 1,000 employees, right? Irrespective of the size of the companies, the full stack developer role is one of the most difficult role to hire. The reason being, as I already mentioned, somebody should bring in the front end, back end, and the database and the data structure skill set into the table. Not only that, they should be able to apply these skill set and build scalable modern day web application like a Swiggy or an Uber, right? So that's why these developers are highly in demand, and that also the reason why they get highly paid. Okay. So much to the hype, if you look at, right, the machine learning engineers also come after the full stack developer only. Okay, so that's example. And if you look at areas like data engineer, etc., right, as the chat GPT's generative AI is catching up, right, so these type of jobs, right, could be taken over by AI and under generative AI type of technology, right? But if you look at a full stack developer, continue to remain the challenge of organization which is of any size. Okay, so this is another statistic that you can consider. Third one, specifically, if you want to talk about India as a country, how we have grown over the years. If you look at early 90s, that is when the Indian IT story started. Companies like Infosys, Wipro, Cognizant, HCL, they all started. If you look at, right, pretty much when the economy opened up for the global players to come and establish shops in India, or they can do import export without much of an issue. That is when the Indian economy started taking a huge leap by becoming part of the global economy, right? So thanks to the work that these organizations have done for the past 35 40 years, right, or 30 plus years, right, we already have a very good talent pool of 2 million plus experienced engineers, right? So this gives a lot of confidence to companies, either they wanted to set up an Indian branch or they wanted to basically open a startup, right? If you look at not only that, right, India also become a big deal when it comes to startups, right? As I speak, right, there are more than 1.2 lakh startups. This number, whatever I mentioned, right, 92,683, it is little old. And every month, if you just go and look into the Startup India portal hosted by the government of India, right, the numbers are only increasing. And especially if you look at the startups, right, there are a lot of companies which are working in the SaaS, software as a service. You can think about majority of the unicorns which are there having 1+ billion valuation, right? Majority of them are coming from the SaaS domain, and also they're expecting that in another 4 to 5 years this SaaS market is going to play a significant role in enabling the job opportunities in India. More number of startups are going to come. Not only startups, even the bigger organizations are going to develop more and more products based on SaaS, because today no software will be running only in desktop, right, except a very few software, maybe Windows, right, which is running in a desktop, right? But apart from that, if you look at, right, even look at this GoToWebinar, right, everything is centered around web, right? Initially it was a PC centric, right? Now everything is centered around web. Suppose for example my laptop crashes tomorrow, nothing is going to change. Why? Everything is in cloud already, right? So that's the whole area. And on the other hand, if you look at, right, Indian as a country, right, we are one of the our youngest country in the world, where we have largest working population, 80 million plus people who are in the working age group. Unlike countries like Japan, right? Japan and all, if you go and see, their life expectancy is very high. Countries like Japan, probably people live till 90 or even 100 plus, right? But their working population, there's not much, right? In fact, I was reading some news where they need to call back, right? Some of the people who retired, skill them, and then they deploy in the factories and some of the software development, etc. Right? So if you look at on the contrary, India, it's brimming with a lot of young talent, hungry talent, aspirational people, right? Combining force with whatever the trends that I've spoken about, right, in terms of overall job opportunity and full stack development being the center of digitization and automation and one of the most difficult role to hire, right? And then the startup and SaaS story, if you just connect the dot, you can really very easily will be able to envision where the future is heading to. So when I say future, look at the future in a horizon of 20 to 30 years, right? So definitely the Indian software revolution, which was fueled initially by the IT story, is now taken into a different league with the product companies pitching in, right? And it is here to stay for next, let us say, 20 to 30 years, and that offers excellent opportunities for engineers like you guys to build a great career as you move forward. And there is no better time or there is no better skill set than having a full stack development skill set in your resume. Okay, so this is more of an opportunity part of it, right? And where we stand, where the job market is heading to. Because as I already mentioned, I am part of the placement team. We continue to talk to companies on a daily basis, right? On various technologies. We meet a lot of experienced people. We meet a lot of startup entrepreneurs who just started. And by the way, full stack development. On another thing, recent trend that I saw was, I was in a flight from, flying to Jaipur. So I was just talking to an entrepreneur. He just started a company, I think around 4 to 5 people. He's operating from Jaipur. He was just talking to me about what courses we do. I said embedded, IoT, and then full stack development. I was, he got curious saying that he's building a product that is a web application. When he heard about these kind of skill set that we offer, he said, "Hey, looks like I need to take my course. You take your course because I need to skill myself so that I can go and build my startups better," right? So even if you're an entrepreneur today, you have dreams of building your own company, definitely the full stack development will come into picture. Okay, so this is a broader aspect of where the technology is heading and how you can build a career. Now what we'll do is, this is, as I said, this is the first one what do you call aspect of our webinar or the demonstration today, right? The second piece that we are going to talk about is how you can capitalize this opportunity, right? And how you go about skilling yourself in this opportunity. So that is where WSA's full stack web developer course in MERN with the DSA, right? With the DSA is a very important aspect, right? How it can help you to skill yourself and leverage this opportunity. So that's what we are going to talk about. Let me see any question in this, right? Okay. So currently, course is currently unavailable to students. What should be done? I don't think so. I think it is very much available, Kirtana. We are starting our next batch in the month of April. April 17th is our next batch date. Shortly in the later slides, I will show you the batch, start date. Okay, you will hear from our team, right? And I'll also share the contact details of our counseling team, our student counseling team, to whom you can talk to. They'll be able to give more inputs about when exactly the course is going to start and how it is planned. Okay, hope that's clear, Kirtana. Then Kaushik is asking employability in the sense, will you provide internships, sir? See, internship we're already offering. Internship we're offering for the college engineering graduates, right? Who are doing the engineering, but they also want to do internship. That I think we completed 2 or 3 cohorts already. The current cohort just got over. I'll be meeting some of the students in the subsequent week, right? So that we keep doing. That's absolutely free. And kindly note, for our internship program, we don't give job opportunities, right? So the job opportunities with the product development companies, we only offer for our full-time paid full stack web developer course. That's what we are talking about, right? So the goal of internship is very different. The goal of our internship is basically is an initiative from our side to contribute back to the academia and make a difference in the students, to make them learn when they are at the college, to give them an exposure about hands-on coding skills and how they can build a product or how they can build a project as a part of their internship, right? So that is nothing to do with placements. But this particular course or this particular WSS Burnstack course is completely focused on placements. And kindly note, right, it's a long-term course. It's a 9-month course. We will talk about it, right, which comes with placements. And kindly note, this is a paid course. Hope that's you are able to see the difference between internship and course, Kaushik. Okay, and then Princess telling Punjab as LSG. Okay, okay, that's good. I think both of them. I think LSG is kind of hitting the rock bottom. Hope they win today. Punjab is also doing quite well, I guess. Yeah. So there's a question from JSC. So can we do project as individual? I think let Mubeen answer that as we move forward. He will talk about the project. Probably you can take it up once Mubeen moves into a few slides. Okay. So that's all I have to share from my side. So Mubeen, can you go ahead and start? I'll start running the slides for you. Mubeen.
Yeah, sure, Jay. I think you may have to share, give me the presenter access because I'll have to share some other details as well.
Okay. Okay. I'll make you as an organizer moving. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I made you as an organizer. Okay. I'll also make you presenter. Hope you're able to access moving.
Yes, I'm just sharing my camera as well.
Okay. Let me go off the camera. Over to you.
All right, I think you would have got a fair idea about how basically full stack web applications, right, is trending in the market and what are the available job opportunities for aspiring learners as well. So what I'll do is I will walk you through some of the details about the WSA's full stack web development course, which includes data structures as well. So in terms of our goal is to transform engineers or working professionals with skill gap. Right? Often we see that yes, we learn many things in our college, and for many of the working professionals, maybe you may be working in different domains. So we would like to transform all these aspiring learners into ready to deploy resources with organizations working in the new age web application development. So when you say ready to deploy resources, right? So companies often face a major challenge when they hire uh, any engineer, be it from college or let's say a working professional who doesn't have the relevant skills, right? So they face a huge big challenge in terms of training them, in terms of deploying them in directly in projects. So what we do is that by offering this training, once our candidates are our learners are trained, they become readily deployable in projects, and that is our goal. So we want to transform you from somebody who's having a skill gap into somebody who can be readily deployed into companies, including product development companies. So, what is the differentiating factor? So we all know that yes, full stack has been there for many years, and you have a lot of resources available. Even there are many resources available freely as well, right? So our main differentiator is our pedagogy. So we are using an experiential learning approach with an agile methodology wherein we're not simply focusing on the subjects you need to know, whereas we are delivering the training in such a way that you gain the required experience to build projects. So instead of taking a topic by topic approach wherein we focus on, let's say, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, we take an approach wherein we put across to you a application or a product to be developed. So when you put out a problem statement or an application to be developed, you start thinking differently, right? You don't think in a waterfall model wherein yes, let me learn these things, then I build, right? Instead of that, you take an approach wherein, right, oh, this is what I need to build. What does it take me to build it, right? So this is the approach we are going to take. So by taking this approach, you are getting different advantages. First is that the way you think will definitely change. So you will get a bigger picture in terms of how products are developed, and we take an approach wherein we don't follow an ad hoc method of basically product development. So you follow an agile methodology wherein you learn about the project in at a high level, understand the requirements, and try to see what does it require you to build the project by learning the necessary concepts. So this is the approach we take. And in terms of the delivery mode, our classes will be delivered live virtually. As of now, we don't have any offline classes, right? We deliver the classes online in the live mode. So you'll have regular classes every week, Monday to Friday. That's what we have basically scheduled. Idea is that in the initial 3 or 4 days, we will help you build the project by initially teaching you the necessary prerequisites. And as you learn the concepts and you are having the minimal knowledge, you'll start working on the project uh, in a parallel phase, right? So it's not like project is separate, learning is separate, right? So you'll build the project along with the learning. And every week there will be one day dedicated for interventions or doubt clearing. So it's important that we help you to answer your queries. So what we do is once you basically learn many things, yes, you'll start working on it. So we'll help you to basically clear your doubts by having a dedicated doubt clearing session wherein you can share your experience and doubts, and we'll help you basically clarify those things on a regular basis. So in terms of course duration, it's 9 months. So many a time, yes, people may think that okay, why we need 9 months to learn, right? So it's required because it's not just the topics you're going to learn, right? Because in 9 months you're going to build around 12 guided projects, right? So building 12 projects definitely will take time. And apart from basically building projects using Stack, which is nothing but a full stack web development application, full stack web application, which varies from a easy level, then we'll move to the medium level, and finally we'll work on much more complex projects, right? So we'll cover like different projects of different complexity. Initially it's going to be easy ones, we'll move to medium complexity projects, and in the later trimester or later term you'll work on complex projects. So along with working on these projects, it's important that we are familiar with DSA or data structures and algorithms, right? So we will be aware that when you are applying for many uh, development companies who are having job opportunities in full stack web application development, especially product based companies, they will have expectations in terms of candidates who are good in problem solving. So DSA is the key here. So apart from Stack, we also focus on data structures. Again, in data structures, shortly I'll discuss what are we going to learn. It's important that you become familiar with data structures so that you can apply them in larger projects, as well as when applying for companies in terms of placements, right? Definitely it will give an edge, and this is the key for getting selected in product based companies and many good companies. So we do have a set of expert in-house mentors who are well versed in all these technology areas, who will be delivering the classes. Along with them, we have industry mentors, some of the experts and advisors we shared in the previous slide. So we have industry mentors who are there from the early stage itself, right? If you look at the course design in terms of the topics, in terms of pedagogy, in terms of projects, all these things are built in consultation with industry mentors. So our goal is not just to help you build projects. Our goal is to ensure that we are building the project in a much more professional way. It is not just going to be a proof of concept. So this product we are going to build, right? You can even showcase it as a full-blown project, an industry project. And last but not the least, right, by learning MERN stack and DSA, in future, there are possibilities that you can go ahead and um, equip yourself with the knowledge of AI and ML by having MERN stack as a sound foundation. So that's a brief about our course pedagogy, the course duration, and our main focus areas. Moving on to share some more details about the important modules. So if you look at a full stack web development course, yes, in fact, you have to learn about the front end design and development. So in front end, initially we'll start up with the core concepts, which is nothing but HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So here it's not just about knowing how to basically design a simple web page, but you'll also learn like how to design uh, a front end for a given application, right? So what we do is for all of the projects we have created designs from our graphics design guys. So what they do is that they create the design using something called as Figma and similar applications. Even you might have come across those things. So we have professional graphics design folks who will give the design. So our idea is to make sure that whatever application we're designing is like matching the requirements. So for that, you have to be good in HTML, CSS, which is the fundamental and building block. And we'll teach you how to build like responsive web applications. And JavaScript is for you to develop interactive websites, right? So it's important that you know how to basically interact, make the websites interact, as well as we should know how to integrate our front end with the back end, right? So most of the websites, when you say the core of the work will happen not just in the front end, the core of the business logic, right? For example, how the data should be organized, etc., works is done in the back end. So to build dynamic websites, we have to know how to integrate the front end with the back end using something called as REST APIs. So we'll cover those topics in the meta module 1. And following completion of the core HTML, CSS, JavaScript, we'll also basically teach you get started with the React framework. So React is a framework which is very popular nowadays, which was originally developed by Facebook, now called as Meta, and it is pretty easy to get started, and you can get things done in a faster way. So learning curve for React is relatively less, but advantage is that yes, there are many companies who are looking for expertise in the React. That is the primary reason we switched from Angular to React. So we'll help you learn the React concepts, and using React you'll also start working on projects. So moreover, we'll introduce you to a tool called as JIT, wherein you will learn how to basically manage the source code, especially when you're going to work in a team wherein many contributors are going to contribute to the project. Should know how to basically manage the source code and collaborate and work. Right? So we'll introduce you to JIT, and whatever projects you're going to work on, you will have to push the code to GitHub repository. After completing the front-end development module, right, we will move on to the next meta module, which is data structures and algorithms. So here again, we are going to start with from the basics, starting from like time complexity, significance of writing optimized programs. We'll teach you about different data structures, including arrays, stacks, queues, linked list, searching, sorting algorithms, trees, hashing, and so on. Right. So data structures again uh, is a quite vast topic, but we'll focus on the most important data structures. Not just that, it's not just about knowing what is the data structures. We'll also help you to solve many programming problems, especially from competitive programming platforms like Lead Code. So the goal is to make sure that you're solving, for example, at least 100 to 150 problems, which will help you to crack like a good product-based company. Right? So this will be again phased into multiple uh, stages. Initially, you'll learn about the majorly used data structures. Then you'll start solving competitive programs. And as you solve more and more competitive programs, yes, you will definitely basically you will be able to answer those questions in the placement drives. So moving on from after data structures, yes, we need to focus on the backend, right? It's not just about knowing the front end. You should also know how to basically build the backend. So when you say backend, right? So there are different backend technologies which are available, which can be used, but we're going to focus on Node, Express, and MongoDB, which is part of the MERN stack, right? So Node.js is and Express is primarily a framework which helps us to develop backend using JavaScript. Right. So one advantage of learning MERN is that you just have to know one programming language, which is JavaScript. Right. You don't have to know multiple languages, one language for like front end, another language for back end. Right. So this will reduce our uh, uh, learning needs. Right. So Node and Express will be used to implement something called as REST APIs. So REST APIs are nothing but a mechanism to help you provide services, right? So we all know, for example, Google, for example, they provide a lot of services. For example, Google Maps, right? So we can, for example, you can look at Uber, right? You can look at Ola, or you can look at Swiggy, right? All these applications use services from Google, primarily, for example, their services related to maps, which will help them to basically, for example, implement their business logic. For example, if you want to order something from Swiggy, right, you are going to have a delivery person assigned from one point to another. Right? So Google already has those services. You can make use of those services. So when we are also building our applications, we will separate our front end from the back end. So we'll have to design our back end, which is going to act as a service provider for our front end, right? And this will be done using Express. And in terms of data storage, there are two ways or two approaches you can take. One is an approach called as SQL based or relational database, and there is another called as NoSQL. So in terms of MERN stack, we are going to use MongoDB, which is a NoSQL based database. So all these concepts you'll learn in the meta module 3, which will help you to basically understand how to build a backend, how to develop the business logic, and eventually using this backend which you have developed, you will be able to integrate with the front end which you have already developed. Right. This completes the full stack web development cycle. Right. So in the end, right, so it's important that whatever we learned in the past, we should be able to revise and refresh those modules, right? Often just before you apply for companies, right, it's important to know all the concepts thoroughly and what to expect in interviews. So we will conduct like interview prep sessions towards the end, and we'll share like what kind of questions you can expect from different product companies. Along with that, we'll also continue to solve more and more data structures based programming problems, right? And eventually, before you can start applying, we'll conduct mock interviews. Again, mock interviews is something which is important for somebody to know where you stand in terms of your performance, right? So we'll have mock interviews which is going to simulate real interviews, and we'll share the feedback in terms of your rating, in terms of what went well and what needs to be improved. So this is how the overall basically course modules look like in our full stack web development course. So in case you have any questions, feel free to interrupt. We'll be happy to answer your queries. Right? Otherwise, we can go ahead and discuss on the next slides. Right. So we have high level. We divided the course into 3 levels. In the first level, foundations will be covered, including front-end development, uh, which includes like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. followed by basics of backend development, right? So that's what the foundations are. And after the foundations are covered, we'll build in-depth understanding about the front end. Like we'll focus on React, build much more complex React and as well as the backend technologies, and we'll deep dive into more complex topics in front end as well as back end and build much more larger applications. Along with that, we will cover the data structures and algorithms module in the second level, right? And finally, in the third level, it's about mastering whatever you learned in the past and going beyond whatever you learned, right? This includes advanced backend, advanced data structures, and it's more of placement preparation. So this is how the three levels are covered in the entire course, which roughly is split into 3 months, right? 3 months will be foundations, 3 months will be like advanced front end and intensive back end as well as data structures. And finally, in the third and the last 3 months, we learn about like more about advanced backend and data structures as well as placement preparation. So that's how the course um, levels looks like. All right. So each term looks something like this, right? So we start with a project always, right? So as I mentioned, so we start with a project, and to build that project, whatever skills are required, right, that will be covered in the class and lab sessions. So once you get the knowledge, you'll start implementing the project which was explained, and project will be evaluated. And what we typically do is we do something called as code review, wherein we will go through the code and see what you've done correctly and what needs to be improved, right? So always the feedback is required, so that it's not just about completing the project and getting the output, it's about making sure that you're writing the code in the expected way, right? And this will iterate multiple times. It's not just that you're going to build a project from beginning to end in one iteration, right? It's important that we learn how to basically phase it out, right? So one project, for example, you can divide into multiple phases, and in each phase you start building some set of features, and in the next phase you improvise and keep adding new features, right? It's more of an iterative approach, which is also called as an agile approach, right? So iterative and incremental learning. There's nothing but also called as agile methodology. It's quite popular, especially followed in web applications and UI based application development projects across the industry. This is used, and this is quite effective to help us understand how to basically build complex project in different phases. Another advantage of using the agile approach is that you get an early progress, right? It's not that okay, you start a project on day one and after 6 months you get the output, right? So you get like output in different iterations, right? We call it as sprints, and those things will be also taught briefly in the project in our course. So overall, we are going to use an agile approach, wherein we are going to use like sprint driven approach, right? In sprint one, you complete one set of features. Sprint two, you complete a different set of features, and you start building on top of the previous sprints, and finally you complete the project, right? This is an approach which will help you to basically gain experience equivalent to working on real projects in industry, right? So this is the key, working backwards. So we are not taking approach when we learn the topics, then build up then later in the end we build complete projects. We take an approach wherein like what companies are doing, right? So companies have built great products by working backwards, right? They get the input from the customers, right, to create amazing products. So our unique and edtech industries, one of the first and innovative pedagogy is in alignment with how product companies work, right? This I initially told as well. So we are simulating an environment wherein as if you're going to work on real projects in industry. where project-driven learning is implemented. Right? So we're implementing an approach wherein you're going to learn things by building projects. So this is carved out based upon our 2 decades of experience in EdTech. We are a 20-year-old organization. We started in the year of 2003. And over a period of 20 years, yes, we have also learned uh, to make sure that our pedagogy is taking a learner first approach, right? So it's not about like a topic based approach, it's about a learner first approach. So project driven approach also increases your motivation, you get the confidence, right? For example, let's say you're learning many things but you're not applying, you're not able to build something on your own. In that case it will end up like in fatigue. Some people end up giving up, right? So I learned, let's say, for 3 or 4 months so many topics, but I'm not able to apply, I'm not able to build a project on my own using those concepts. So what we are doing is that yes, we are helping you to build the confidence at a very early stage. In the early stage you're going to build simple projects, and as time progresses you will start building more and more complex projects. So this will help you to build confidence, help you to reduce fatigue, right? So this 9 months duration should not be something which is overwhelming for you, because as time progresses you will have a lot of projects to showcase in your portfolio. So in summary, you learn as you do in a company, right? So you're getting a real life experience of how projects are built in company. All right. So in terms of skill progression, term one, right? As we need to cover different topics including HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Node.js, Express, etc. So in term one, we'll focus on the core of its front end, which includes HTML, CSS, and JavaScript plus React. We'll touch upon backend. In term two, you will gain more knowledge, in-depth knowledge of front end, plus we will cover in-depth knowledge of backend as well, right? So we'll try to expand. If you see, it's going to expand and touch upon more and more concepts in term two, right? So and you will know about everything in term two, right? So for example, initially in the term one, you will gain a lot of expertise in the front end and little bit of back end. So term one itself will cover the back end. In term two, you will expand your knowledge and skill in front end and more in back end, right? So we're going to cover more in back end and basics of data structures as well. Whereas in term three, right, we'll expand further. Whatever leftover things are in front end, we'll cover them. And back end, you'll learn about much more advanced things. And DSA again, you'll learn how to build much more complex data structures and solve more complex DSA programs. So this is how the skill progression looks, and we are taking an agile way of learning uh, in our courses. All right. So this is what we call it as experiential learning and agile methodology. So you'll have live classes, and in the class itself you're going to build projects. It's not that projects you're going to build after completing a module, right? So we are going to take a project centric approach. So you'll build, the mentors or instructors will build the project in the live classes itself. And you can also do a code along. So we recommend that yes, people should open their laptops, follow the mentor in the class itself, so that you're making progress and you're gaining confidence. And in case you do make mistakes, it's easy to correct immediately and the progress will be fast, right? So that's what the idea is. So project implementation will happen in the live sessions, as well as we'll also want you to practice on your own, right? So that's when your time kicks in, your motivation is important here. So apart from live class sessions, we should also spend some time in the weekends, right? So weekends we are not planning to keep the sessions. Weekends you can utilize it to like understand whatever you learned and build on top of things which you have already built during the class sessions. You'll also have lab interventions. Lab interventions mostly for clearing your doubts, helping you resolve your problems. Let's say you're getting stuck somewhere, you're not getting the output, and you need inputs whether what you've done is correct, etc. So all those things will happen during the lab intervention sessions. Excuse me. have some glass of water. So in the end, as time progresses, right, we want you to build like projects along with code along sessions, and finally, like your outcome will be a well built project in the end, right? It's not just about completing one project, right? Every semester you will have, for example, initial semester you'll have around 4 to 5 projects, then in the second semester you'll have another 3 to 4 projects, etc. Right? Every term you'll have multiple projects which you have to complete. And this project you have to showcase in your profile. So we'll help you to build your GitHub profile as well as your LinkedIn profile, which you need to showcase it to your companies, right? So you need that visibility in the market as well. So you learn like you work in industry. That's what we call it as experiential learning and using agile methodology. So that's it in terms of how the course delivery model looks like. So feel free to ask any questions. Jay, you can share, or you can let me know if there are any questions related to what has been discussed so far.
Uh, I see one question. I think not technically related. Vivek is asking a question: how crucial is proficient in English for securing placements, given my significant deficiency in the English language? Somebody's talking about the communication skill.
You want to answer, Jay?
Yeah, I think you go ahead. Okay, no problem.
No. Okay. Yeah. So English is something which is the medium of communication followed in interviews. So you need to know English to a decent level so that you can express whatever you know, right? So many a time it happens that you build your technical skills, you know the concepts, you have the necessary knowledge to build the projects. You also have updated resume with let's say 10 or 12 projects. But when you attend interviews, it's not just about knowing them. So when somebody asks you a question, you should be able to explain it, right? So we don't expect you to know like to become a very proficient in English, at least to a level wherein whatever you learn, you're able to communicate and make others understand, right? That's what is expected. Maybe in some companies like who have like um, who has need in terms of basically proficient communication skills, no having good communication skills will help them to basically grab a job. But this is very very mere in terms of the number of companies looking for that, right? So decent communication skill is what we look for, and English is not something which is difficult to learn, right? So you need to build the confidence by speaking, right? You may be a good listener, but that may not be enough, right? You can start working on your communication skill by opening up and speaking with others. So that's one of the best way to learn. Anything else?
No other questions, Mubeen. You can proceed.
All right.
One second, one second. One more question has come. I have one question. How will AI impact the job market for software engineers?
What is that?
How will AI will impact the job market? Artificial intelligence.
Okay, okay, okay. uh, as of now, right, we don't see much of a challenge, right, in terms of, let's say, this question is primarily asked for people, right? Is the AI going to take our jobs, right? So if you see, maybe let's say you rewind 50 years back when computers were not there, right? This question would have arisen, right? Okay, now computers has been invented. Are humans going to lose job, right? So in a similar way, when you put right across this question, like how AI is going to basically, is AI going to take our jobs, right? That's, it's not going to take our jobs. It's just that we need to transform and we need to equip ourselves with the necessary knowledge where AI can be used, right? So as of now, I would say yes, AI is pretty trending and the future looks very promising for AI. But for you to get into AI, it's important that you know where you're going to use AI for, right? So having a strong foundational knowledge, especially in whichever technology domain you want to work on, it could be full stack web applications. This is the core, right? So core is something else, and AI is going to augment those core technologies which you are going to work on, right? So full stack web application is the core. AI will be used to like get things done faster, to help you to basically envision things in a better way. You can use AI. So definitely, yes, you have to learn about the core foundational technologies. Maybe in future, knowing about AI and how to basically use AI to leverage your core is something which is going to be key in future, right? So you need to know the core as well as maybe you can start uh, learning about AI as well in as an augmented technology. You want to add anything, Jayakumar?
Sorry, I was in mute. No, no, moving looks
Sure.
fine. You can proceed.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. So I think what I'll do is now. So this is more about the course, right? So let me share a small demo of how, right, we can build a simple web application in a very limited time. So time is limited. So in our full-fledged course, you're going to build much more complex applications. But I just wanted to give an overview how we can like get started with developing a web application. So let me share my screen and also will explain what we're going to build as part of this course demo webinar. All right. So hope you can see my screen. All right. So as part of this demo application development, so what we're going to do is that uh, I'll walk you through how we can build a simple weather application. Okay. So if you look at my screen, now you can see this web application or a website, you can call it, wherein it's asking you to enter the name of a city, right? So often we would like to know what is today's weather, how is the current weather, right? Let's say you're traveling and you want to basically decide what is the kind of clothes you need to pack, right? Let's say you're traveling to a place which is like in the north, let's say Srinagar you want to travel, right? Let's say you want to travel to some place called let's say Jaipur, wherein the temperature changes. It's desert. In desert, for example, right, in the summer often it's very hot, but in the regular days it's like very cold, right? So I want to build an application wherein it's going to display the weather information for today, right? Let me start typing in the name of the city, right? I'll type Bengaluru. That's where I'm from. I'll click on this button, get weather. Let's see what happens, right? So you can see here it's going to display the weather information, including temperature. It's 31 degrees, but it looks pretty hot now in Bangalore. And humidity is 32 percentage, and weather is like broken clouds, right? Let me enter some other place. Let me enter London, for example. Let's see how it's in London. Weather, it's 15 degrees, which is pretty moderate, and humidity is 47 degrees, shows scattered clouds. Let me enter some other place, say degrees, that is hazy. All right, this is the application we want to build. So what do you think? How long will it take for us to build this application? And what are the concepts you need to know to build this? Any inputs from your side? What do you think?
So, guys, any answers for what Mubeen has asked? You can type in the chat window. I can read it for you guys.
If you're not sure, you can mention you're not sure. Okay, that's also fine.
Yeah. So, you're not sure.
Okay. All right. So maybe I'll get moving on. Right. So if you look at any web page, right? Let's say, let me open, for example, right? So you can see this is a web page, right? So if you look at any web page, what you see is nothing but HTML, right? So we can see in HTML, you have data in the form of text, right? You can see a lot of text information. You can see latest news, quick access, all these are text elements, right? So you have a lot of text content in HTML. And along with text element, you have images, right? You can see there is a picture of Hardik Pandya. You also have some videos over here, right? Displaying, etc. So any HTML page will contain text elements. It could be like formatted text. It could be a link, as well as it contains images and multimedia, right? So it looks very simple, right? If you only four major ingredients, but you're able to build much more complex applications. If you look at our web application, you can see text element, you can see an image, right? You can see an input box where user can enter something. You can see a button which just takes an action, right? And you can also see, right, when I click on a button, I'm getting some results. So this website is an interactive website. Now the question is this a full stack web application or it's just a front end application? What do you think? So do you think it's a simple HTML web page, or do you think it's a for this you need to know about front end as well as back end development?
So, there's an answer from Vivek. He says full stack. Chandana is
Okay,
also telling full stack. As it is interactive, it is full stack, says Asma. It uses API,
okay,
says Darshan.
okay, okay.
Yeah, there are multiple answers moving.
Yeah, yeah. So front end is enough with Santanam is saying front end is enough with API request. All right. So we got multiple answers, right? And in fact, it depends upon how you want to develop it, right? So I can say that yes, I can build a full stack web application wherein I develop the front end as well as I develop the back end as well. Wherein the back end I can have the logic to like get the information about weather from somebody, right? And there is another approach wherein I say no, I'm not interested to build the back end. I will build the front end, and this weather information what I'm getting, I can get it from somebody, right? So different approaches are there. So let me uh, just show you how to get started with developing this application by taking an approach wherein we're going to focus only on the front end now. We're not going to focus on the back end now. Now, if back end is not there, who is going to provide the information is the question, right? So for this specific application, what we are going to do is that, okay, let me just open my uh, application. Second. Second post. All right. Okay. So our idea is that we need to build a weather application which fetches weather information from a city, right? So we need to see how we can get started with this, right? Requirement is very fairly simple, right? So app should fetch the get the city name and should be able to display the weather information. Now, how can you do it? So what we are going to do is that we're going to use a service called as openweathermap.org, which is a website which helps us to get the weather information for a given day. Right? So I'll show you how this website looks like and what are the services it provides. So let me just say over here, right? Fetch me the weather information, right? You can see it's able to fetch this information. So this website provides something called as an API service. So if you look at this, I can see there is something called as an API service, which is acts as our backend, right? So this gives the current weather data. So what we'll do is that we will use the API service from this website to develop our application. So here, let me show you how we can use the API service from this website. So typically what happens that when you enter a URL, for example, let's say google.com, right? So if I enter google.com, what is it going to show? It's going to show me this page, right? Let me say hello, search for, or let me say cricket. Let me type this. Right? So if you can see here in the top, right, I can say Google, I type it, I say cricket, it's going to show me the result. Right? So Google is the service I'm using, and I'm going to share some input to Google or provide the input to Google as to what I need to search, right? So here I'm passing a parameter called as q is equal to cricket, right? So I'm telling I need information about cricket. Give me the results. Similarly, Open Weather Map API takes city as a parameter, and whenever basically you enter a city name, let's say Bangalore, it's going to show an output like this, right? So you can see here I'm typing Bangalore, it's showing me the information about the temperature, right? Here you can see temperature is given. Let me type it again, right? So you can see temperature is 37.37, right? And it also shows other information like humidity and so on. So this is nothing but our backend service, also called as API. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this service, get the information and display it in the front end, right? That's what I'm going to do in today's web application. So typically, to get started with any web application, we have to create something called as HTML file, right? So let me show you how we can start from scratch, right? So if you're not familiar with HTML, not an issue. So I'm going to show you how to develop the front end by creating a simple UI for the web application. So what I'm using is called as a tool called as Visual Studio Code. This tool helps you to write code for different programming languages, as well as it can be used for developing full stack web applications. So typically any HTML page starts with something called as a head tag, right? So here you can see it's showing some tags over here, including head and body. So every head tag contains some meta tag as well as a title tag. So title is a tag which we can display on top of your browser, right? So let me show you what happens when you create a simple web page with a title and a heading. Heading can be written as a tag called as h1. So here it stands for a heading of like level 1, which typically is of bigger size. So I can say save this. So in any website you're going to develop, typically it will consist of different files. It will have something called as HTML file, which contains the UI elements, and it also contains a JavaScript file which will help you to interact with the website. And thirdly, it also has something called as CSS file which contains style elements. So I'll talk about the remaining ones shortly. So let me just show you how this simple HTML looks like, right? Let me run this program using a live browser. So this is what you can see in the beginning, right? So I'm developing a HTML page which has a heading called as weather app, and weather app is displayed as well. If you look at this page, it has a title as well as a heading weather app, and there is an image, right? Let's see how you can display an image in this HTML. So what I have is I already have an image called as cloud.png, which looks something like this, right? So if I want to include this image in my HTML, I can use a tag called as image tag. So image tag takes the file name or image file name as an argument. I can say cloud.png. Alt, you can leave it blank, or you can say cloud. When you do this, we can see what will happen. Let me show you, right? It's showing this weather app followed by this image, right? You can see one after another it's showing. So we are done with this. We have created the heading tag, we have included the image, then we have to create an input box followed by a button, right? So let me create the next element, which is my input box. So I can say input of type text, right? Inputs. So we can create text, right? So each input box we can give a name. So here I'm going to give a name called as city because I need to enter city name inside the input box. As well as I can pass an ID here with the same name. For now, I'll save it. Let's see what happens, right? You can see input box displayed. I can type something. I can say Delhi, for example. I'm able to type. Here you can see here it's not aligned properly, right? It's coming after the image. Maybe I have to put it below, right? So you can use a tag called as br tag here, and br means it for the new line, right? A break basically. So as soon as I say br, you can see that it comes to the next line, right? This looks better compared to the previous one. So following this, I need to have a button which is clickable, where when you click on the button, it should fetch the weather information, right? So let me say button, and let's say get weather. So after the input box, I'm adding a button called as get weather. Let me save this. Right, you can see. If you compare this with this, right? You can see the elements are there. The text is there, the image is there, the input box is there, the button is there. But if I click, do you think it will work? If I get weather, right? It's not going to any response because we are not written the business logic for this, right? Simply it's a static UI. Now, how do you build the logic, right? What is required to build your logic here? What do you think? How do you make it interactive? How do you make sure that it is responding to your event? Like click event, right? You're clicking on the button, there is no response. What do you think? How do you make it work? Any idea? So Asma is telling by using backend technologies. All right. Okay. So here is where the power of JavaScript comes, right? So when you are going to develop a web page, it consists of different files. So here we used a file called as index.html, which contains our main ingredients which you need to display. But we are not able to perform any interactive action. We're not able to change the behavior of the website based upon user input, right? It's more of static. To implement this logic, we need to use something called as JavaScript, wherein inside JavaScript you can build the logic to handle the user inputs or events, right? So let me show you how we can make this button work, right? So for that, we need to write handler for the event called as on click. So that means when you click on a button, what is that you want to do, right? So here I'll say that when you click on the button, get weather info. Okay. So let's say you get the weather info when you click on the button. This function is not yet available, so we need to build this function. To build this function, we can go to the script.js file, right? So here I've created a function called as get weather info. And in this file, I need to write the logic to get the weather information. Now here, if you see in the front end, I'm having a text input called as city, wherein will the city name will be entered, right? So my first job is to make sure that let me get the city name from the text input. These are a little bit uh, uh, so to build this, you need to have a knowledge about basics of HTML and JavaScript. Nevertheless, it's not complex. So I'm trying to show you that if you have like basic understanding, it's possible to build a complete application within a short time, right? So there is something called as a document object, which is part of your browser, which will help you to access some elements inside the HTML, right? So I'll say document object element by ID, this is a built-in function. And what is that I need to get? I need to get city. Let me console this. Let's see. Okay. So my idea is that I want to see whether I'm able to get the city name after the user enters this input. Alright. Let me do this. So again, here to see the output, you have to do something called as inspect. Okay, so inspect will show you the output in the console, right? So let me type Bengaluru and get weather. So function name is not correct. Let me show you what is the mistake, right? So I need to make sure that this file is included. So I have not included this file. So I have to include the file which is script.js. So for that you have to use a tag called a script tag. We'll say script.js. This file was not included. Familiar with other programming languages like C, right? You say hash include stdio.h, right, etc. Or iostream, for example. So here also it's simply we have to include this file called a script.js. Let me try again. Get weather. So it's giving this city, but I didn't fetch the value. Let me make sure that I'm fetching the value over here, right? So I want to get the value of that input box. Save this. Bengaluru. So you can see I'm able to get the weather, right? So when I'm clicking, when I'm typing something, here I'm able to see some result. It's called interactivity, right? So if you type something and click on the button, yes, I'm able to get this information. So that's not enough. It's not about displaying the city name. It's about displaying the temperature and humidity information or weather information by using this service from Open Weather Map, right? That's our goal. So what I'm going to do is I'll extend this program to get the weather information by using another function, right? So let's say I'll say fetch weather. I'll pass the city name here and telling that okay, get the weather information from the city name. Okay? And to do that, I need to build another function called fetch weather info. And I'll take the city name over here and I need to perform the next set of actions. So typically, if you want to get information from a backend server, right, you have to know about some concepts which are related to HTML and HTTP, right? So a front end typically can talk to the backend, right? How does a front end talk to the backend? This question comes up. Right? Front end talks to a backend by using something called as APIs at a very high level, right? So we have to use REST APIs from backend to get the information which is available in the backend. To do that, there are several mechanisms available in HTML. One of the functions which are available to perform a backend request is called as fetch. Okay. There is something called a fetch function which will allow you to basically fetch the information from the backend. So what I will do is, I don't want to write the code from scratch. I have already the code available with me. Let me just copy that code so that it becomes faster, right? Then I'll explain what this code is all about. So if you look at this code, it's telling that fetch, right? It's telling fetch URL. So what is this URL? URL is nothing but uh, like link which you say, right, in a website URL, which points to the backend service. In our case, we're going to point to a backend service called as openweathermap.org, which takes some inputs along with the URL. So what input does it take? It takes the city name as a parameter. It also takes another parameter called as API key. It's like your secret key for your application, right? So it's not that anybody and everybody can access the API service. You have to first log into their website and obtain something called as an API key, right? This is like your secret key. This secret API key can be obtained from their website by logging into the openmap.org website. Otherwise, what happens is that everybody will start using their website and it becomes an overload for them, right? So typically you have to register in the website and obtain something called as an API key. So once you obtain this API key, you can say that, okay, I am passing the secret key which I obtained from your website, which is here. I also need information about the city which I entered, right? These two parameters are passed. So you'll call this URL called as openweathermap.org. So once you call that URL, you get the response. So what is the response we're going to get? The response is going to look something like this, right? Let me change the city name from Bangalore to Chennai. I'll get this response, right? I'm getting a response for Chennai. So what are the information I'm getting? Right, I'm getting the latitude, longitude. I'm getting the temperature in Chennai, which is 30 degrees. I'm also getting other information with respect to the website, right? Weather, it's showing that description. You can see here few clouds are there, right? So my goal is to display three information. I need to display the temperature, I need to display the humidity, I need to display the description, whether it's cloudy or not, for example, right? So here you can see I'm getting the response. After getting the response, I'm only displaying three things. What are the information I'm displaying? I'm displaying the temperature, I'm displaying the humidity, I'm displaying the description, right? Which you can see here. Here you can see there is a description over here. So this response you can see is in a particular format, right? I'm able to see expand it, minimize and maximize it, right? This is called as a JSON data object or JSON object. So JSON object contains key value pairs. You can see, right? Coordinate. What's the coordinate? It contains latitude and longitude. Similarly, for example, you have temperature. Temperature is 30 degrees. This is nothing but an object containing key value pairs. So more on this you'll learn later. So this format is very convenient for data exchange between front end and back end. But this format is not recommended for displaying, right? This format contains information. So by taking this data, we can display it into HTML format. So what I'm doing is that once we have the data from the backend service, I'm going to convert and display the data in HTML format. So you can see here, I'm displaying the temperature as a paragraph. I'm displaying the humidity as a paragraph. and I'm displaying the weather details as a paragraph by using the information which is available in JSON, right? So I'm saying temperature you display, humidity display, and so on. So after creating this HTML, I need to update the result in the website. So how do you update the result in website? I can say document.getElement by ID, and I want to display this in the field called as weather info. What is this weather info? So weather info is a placeholder. Let me create this. Let me show you, right? You can see here weather info is a placeholder, and this is currently empty, right? Nothing is there here. So I need to update the temperature in this location. That's what's typically it's done in the JavaScript code. I'm telling that, okay, whatever weather details are there, display it as HTML. That's what I'm going to show here. So let me run this again. So this application I'm stopping now. I'll run this application again. Yes, right. So our simple application is working. It's displaying this HTML elements. Let me type the city name, get weather. So you can see the result here. So this result is coming from the backend, right? It's not just that we hard coded these values. We're able to fetch the result from the backend. So this is how we can build a complete web application by using simple HTML, JavaScript, and REST API. So hope you got an idea of how we can start developing web applications. And it's not very complex. Yes, if you're not familiar with any of these things, we do teach things from scratch. I just wanted to quickly help you understand how an HTML web application can be developed in a very short time. So hope this will help you to get started with developing web applications in future. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'll be happy to answer. Sorry. Yeah, I think I was on mute. Yeah, sorry. So what I was saying is that this is how the end result looks like. So we have like created this web application, and we're able to display the information by clicking on this button, right? So let me show you some other information. Right? So in summary, we have developed a simple web application by creating a HTML page, as well as we have developed the logic for getting the information from this function called as get weather info, right? So which is available in this script, right? We're able to get the information by calling these functions. So 50 lines of code, we are able to build a simple web application. Simple web application. So getting started with developing a website is not very complex, but nevertheless, it requires you to have some knowledge about the necessary skills, and that's what we're going to discuss in our 9 months of course. In fact, this was very simple. You're going to build even much more complex applications as part of the course. So that's it from my side. If any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, Jay, you can take over.
All right. So, guys, do you have any questions for Mubeen? I could see, for example, Shaikh Fatima is saying, could you please provide me with the recorded session of today's session? Yes, we'll send it, Fatima. Today's session, whatever we are doing, right? We will email you we'll upload in the YouTube, WSS YouTube channel, we'll upload and then share it with you guys. And others any questions, guys? Any questions, folks in the chat window? Or are able to connect whatever Mubeen has mentioned so far? Okay. Thank you, sir. So can you send the code? Okay, code, I don't know whether we can send, but you can look into the, rather you would say like that, maybe you can look into the code, you can try by yourself, right? I don't know how we can share the code. But
Yeah,
all I wanted
we will share the code. What we'll do is that we will enroll you to our LMS, Learning Management System, wherein you'll be able to access all the code which is available. So let me share you this, right? So I'll share you the login credentials to this website, which is our learning management portal. And here you will be able to access the project which is available, right? So we'll share the login credentials. Once you log in, you will get access to the webinar resources, including the slides as well as the video which is available. Plus, we'll also share you the uh, application environment. So here you can like edit the code, whichever I showed right now, right? So the script and the code will be available, and you can experiment with it, right? So that will be available to you shortly after this webinar. So you can play around so that you can get a feeler of how things are done.
Great. This is great movie. When they get a playground where they can try out on that. Rajesh, hope that answers your question. So when you do the course starting date, ask Asma. Asma, it's on 17th of April. Give me some time. I'll share a couple of slides. Almost done. I have a few slides about placements and the course starting date, etc. Then we can go ahead and wind up the webinar. Do you guys have any other questions for Mubeen? Doesn't seem so. All right, so I have some slides left, few of them, and then we'll be able to close it. So let me take over the. All right, so hope you got an idea from Mubeen about how basically our WSA's full stack web developer course with the data structures and algorithm helps you to basically build your skill set and also position your profile with 12 guided projects. Probably you showed a very simplistic application to start with, but as he mentioned, right, this application complexity increases as you move forward. For example, if you need to build the same backend on your own, right, with your own backend, so the complexity goes quite high. Okay, so that's the whole idea. And and not only that, the beauty of web application development is that you can represent these projects in a very nice portfolio. So rather than sending a resume, of course we'll also be teaching you via various workshops how to build a resume, etc., preparation workshops and things like that. But more than that, by creating a wonderful portfolio, right, where you can demonstrate these projects quite well. Gone are the days where web development hiring happens through resume. Rather, if you can, probably capture some videos or whatever the pages that you build, you can put it in a live server and give a URL and things like that. So that also increases the recruiter's confidence about you and your capability multiple times, right? Rather than going and telling, hey, you know what, I know full stack develop full stack web development, whereas you send a portfolio with full 12 projects, right, is going to make a significant difference. So that's way that the entire thing is structured. Now I have fairly simple slides to talk about the placements and how you can further enroll for our course. So placements basically, we have more than 1200 placement clients. Primarily they are all focused on the product development companies working on various domains. You can check our website. In interest of time, I'm not able to go in detail. I also have a video, probably I can share the link as well via the LMS, right? So these organizations hire our students for various roles. Some could be hiring only for front end, some could be only hiring for back end, but majority of them recruit them for the full stack web development responsibility, right? And for the students who are enrolling for this course, we'll be providing with 2 years of unlimited placement support from the time you complete
Jay,
your
are you
course.
sharing your screen?
Okay, okay, maybe okay, okay, I forgot. Okay, is it visible moving?
Yes,
Hello.
yes,
Okay, yeah.
yes.
So I was explaining about our clients that we have, the companies that they are hiring our students, and also we will be providing 2 years of unlimited placement support for the students who are being part of this course. And we actually commit certain things for our students. We've been doing it for the past 20 plus years, both under the emergency umbrella as well as in the WSA umbrella. So we actually commit minimum students will be able to bag a 4.5 lakhs of a minimum salary, and of course the higher salary depends on the company and how well a student is able to demonstrate the skill set. So in case you're not able to land in a placement, whatever the commitment that we're given, we are actually offering a money back guarantee as well. Okay, so whatever Mubeen has demonstrated in terms of our course content, which is designed in sync with the industry experts, and primarily the differentiator being our how the course is getting delivered, the pedagogy, what he explained, where you're going to start with a project rather than learning a skill and then learning multiple skills and eventually build the product, right? So the project, which kind of brings down the learner motivation, we take the reverse approach where you start with the project and then build. For example, whatever is demonstrated as a simple case, right, and weather application, right? So the requirement will be given to you, and then you go and learn that particular technology, and you'll be keep on doing it iteratively under 3 terms where you're going to build 12 guided projects, right? So with that kind of a intense coaching or intense hands-on exposure coupled with the preparation sessions and of course the module on DSA, we are very confident that the students will be able to back the commitment that we are selling, right? So in case you are not able to land, of course, right, if you just enroll for the course next day, if you don't land in a course, right, you cannot ask for money back. So of course, as long as you do your assignment and projects, as per our guideline, definitely you will be able to land in that. But in case if you're not able to land in, irrespective of you doing the assignment and projects, right, working as per our guidelines, right. So we are offering a money back guarantee also. So that's a kind of when you say giving a money back, right, often it looks like looks like a condition supply and things like that, but we are very much confident on our ability to do that, right? Whatever the combination that you mentioned. So in summary, it's a great opportunity. Again, I can go at length and talk about the type of company they hire, right? What and all the type of domain that they work on, what are the role they give, what are the salary levels, etc. We can go in detail. A good amount of information is already available in the website, and also in the interest of time, we thought we'll keep this particular session brief. Okay, so this is about placements. Okay. And the students asked about the next set of course when the course is getting started. So we are starting our batch on April 17th, roughly around 18, 19 days from now. So you can get in touch with our course, our counseling team. Very simple email ID, training@webstackacademy.com, or you can call them at 809-501-3999. Basically, there's a team of counselors. One of them will attend to you, and whatever the questions that you may have in terms of the course start date, enrollment process, fees. I guess they will also time to time keep running certain scholarship programs where you'll be getting some good discounts, and 100% placement guarantee or money back, right? How does it work? What are the terms and conditions that we expect, right? So all those aspects you will be able to get it from our team of counselors. They'll be explaining it to you in detail. You can also email them, or you can call them in the given number. Okay, so that's the next set of things. And whatever the video that we covered today, we'll be sharing you. I know we'll be doing some minor edits. We'll put it in the YouTube and share you the YouTube link. And that link, particular link, will be an open link. You can go and share it with your friends or whomever, your college mates who may be interested in the in this particular domain similar to you. That would be a great help of spreading a message about how they can build a career in this upcoming domain. Okay. So that's what we have. And apart from that, here are our coordinates. We are active in LinkedIn and Instagram. We started posting some informative information and course related dates, etc. We can see there. And time to time we'll be running masterclass webinars apart from these type of course demo sessions, right? We will be able to basically time to time run a course, sorry, masterclass webinars. I think last week we had a one of our expert coming from Flipkart. He explained about how to build a scalable web application which can handle millions of requests, right? Before that, we had a session on AI. Before that, we had a session on front end developers, roadmap and things, career roadmap and things like that. So you can watch out for our social media pages, and then you can time to time get into that. Not only that, those attending those webinars will also be run some quizzes, and then we'll be getting some goodies and certificate as well. And I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the masterclass webinar. You can watch out for that. And we'll also be rolling out our internship programs shortly. You can watch out for that and pass on to the college students who may be interested in that. Okay. So there are a couple of questions here. Santanam is asking, as a 2015 BTech Triple graduate, I'm looking for a career transition. I'm curious whether companies are more inclined to me as a fresher or as someone with an experience, especially current job market preferring for experienced candidates. How could Webstack Academy aid me in navigating situation? Additionally, I have knowledge in the MERN stack. So that's an interesting question, Santanam. In fact, it's a typical question asked by anybody who is looking for a career transition. So let me answer in two ways, right? First of all, whenever we say we are offering these type of a courses, right? Definitely the course learning itself, for example, if you're doing a 9-month course with us, right, definitely by closing my eyes I can say, right, that will be easily equivalent to a 2 years experienced web developer, right? For example, we run similarly embedded courses in our immersive umbrella, where by doing a 6 months courses, right, they can easily equate people with 1.5 to 2 years is a range of experienced engineer. So that's a type of richness of the skill that you are going to bring into the table. So that way, we don't have a vocabulary of a fresher or an experience in our case. It's more about a skill-based hiring, right? Companies come to Webstack Academy because you are bringing a particular skill into the table. So that's point number one. So let us take the idea of a vocabulary of fresher or experience from our vocabulary. Point number one. Second thing, how will your previous experience will be considered? I hope you have some experience because you've been probably 9 years since you passed out. So the experience, whatever you gathered, it depends on the company. For example, some companies, if the experience is relevant, for example, if you're coming from a web application background, but you are more coming from a legacy stack. Let us say you worked on a .NET and a PHP, right? And you are transitioning into a MERN stack, right? So definitely that type of an experience will have a higher weightage. So the salary will be proportionately given according to that. On the contrary, if you're a person coming from, let us say, 7 years of marketing experience, or sales experience, or teaching experience, but you are only doing our course and then making a transition, right? So then the companies, depending on your previous experience, they will prorate, right? That whatever 5-year, 4-year experience to the relevant current expectation what they have, right? And then they will be determining your salary levels. So, okay. So answer your question 2 points. One, this is not a fresher job that we are targeting. We are targeting skill-based hiring, where 9 months of course can be easily equated to a 2 years work experience engineer, right? You saw the pedagogy, the content, the projects that you're going to work on, right? And these projects are not, just for the sake of building, right? Right from the coding practices, error handling, right? How you're going to deploy it in a live server, right? You're taking care of the corner cases. For every practical purposes, these applications are as simple as, right, you're going to commercially sell it to somebody else, right? That's a level of quality that you'll be building, right? That's what when we say, right, if you work on this type of projects, it will be definitely be added as your work experience only, even though you cannot claim that it's a work experience, right? But you will be able to demonstrate that capability when you're going to the interviews, right? And then salary depends on the company. Okay, hope that's clear. Santanam, your questions. Okay, great question, by the way. And many of you are asking about participation certificate. Kindly note, this is a course, this is not a masterclass webinar. This is more of a course demo session and a placement journey information. So this is more for the audience who are interested, who are already keen to develop their, keen to develop their career in full stack web development. And we strongly believe that you are already motivated about that, right? So we do goodies, certificates, etc. for our masterclass webinars just to get them motivated. So we believe you're already motivated. So this particular webinar doesn't come with any participation certificate, doesn't come with any sort of a quiz or goodies. For that, you need to attend our masterclass webinars, right? Many of you asked that question. So let me clarify. People should not say, right, why in that particular session you are giving a goodie, here you are not giving a goodie, right? Why there is no certificate you are not giving. So this is the reason, okay? So that's clear, Shaikh and Abhishek. And there's a question from Shaikh Fatima. Sir, is the full stack web development internship also available for degree students? Not yet, Fatima. So we are predominantly focusing on students who are done who are having a minimum of a BTech degree. Okay, to start with. Because companies who are recruiting from us, or even for the internship program we are doing, because engineering colleges expect the students to build at least, it was earlier 1 month, now I understand it's become a 4-month internship program, right? So and we want to contribute that. So currently we are restricting to BTech or MEM Tech, or to some extent to MCA, students, or some extent to MSc student to maximum extent, but we are not extending to degree students. For example, people who have done a BCA or a BSc, we are not extending, right? Having said that, as we move forward, as we are able to, basically penetrate more into this particular domain, and also as the domain grows, right, companies are becoming increasingly open to consider students who are not from engineering background also, as long as you are able to demonstrate that skill, right? So we might open up for a degree students also. So watch out for our social media pages, watch out for our website, so you'll be getting more information on that. But as of now, we are restricting to engineering students, MCA student, and to some extent to MSc students, MSc computer science type of students. Hope that's clear. Fatima, Santanam is telling thank you. Okay. So these are all coordinates. As I said, please you can what do you call, share, like, subscribe, so that we can stay connected. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions do you guys have? Okay. So I believe it would be beneficial, internship provided for the BCA students as well. I take your input, Fatima. Okay. We need to discuss with our team and make a decision. Okay. I will definitely take your input, discuss with our team, and then we'll see what do we do about this. Okay. So because what I'm saying, right, whatever we commit, right, we need to do that. So as of now, we're committing for BE BTech students. So we are doing it, right? So if you make something ulta pulta here, right, it's a wrong commitment. We don't want to do that, right? Definitely, I will consider your point. Okay. So how to collect my certificates? Again, see, in this particular webinar doesn't come with a certificate. Hope that's clear. Okay. I already clear, Bhuneshwari. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for considering. Okay, welcome. Okay. So that's pretty much what I have for you guys, right? If not much, I want to thank you for all of you for attending this webinar. I know it's a Saturday evening. It's already 9:30 p.m. IPL is happening. You guys will have a lot of plans on a weekend. You guys taking time out on a Saturday and attending this session says a lot about your passion and interest towards this domain and having a career in this particular domain. So again, this is the last silver bullet we tell in every webinar. Just because you attended this webinar, just because I shared some information, just because Mubeen has given a demonstration, doesn't mean that this is the right thing, right? What is right thing for you? You are the best decision maker for your career. So this is one of the definite opportunity that you can consider, right? So as a senior person, also being part of Emergy's team, WSA team, right? Whatever the decision that you are making, right? Our idea is to give you the information so that you make an informed decision. Because many times what we see, young engineers, right, and professionals, they take decision with a hasty manner without appropriate information. So our goal for this is to give you the right set of information so that you make the decisions which is suitable for your career, right? So whatever maybe the decision you make, right, the choice is yours, and make the right decision, because you should be doing it for the next 30 years, 35 years, or 40 years out, for that matter, right? So I wish you all the best on behalf of team WSA. And I also want to quickly pause and check, how did you find today's webinar? Was it useful? Are you able to connect what I shared and whatever the demonstration, the technical aspect that Mubeen has shared? Can I get some quick feedback about today's webinar? I know it's like little late. Maybe some of you can give us some feedback. Was it helpful? Did you give a clarity? Any feedback, guys? Did you give a better perspective about the job domain, technology view, hands-on view? So Sumitra is telling awesome webinar, sir. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your words, Sumitra. I hear some more comments if anybody has. All right, I think it's time up. So thank you very much once again. Wish you all the very best. As I already mentioned, this video and all the other materials, and also the coding playground what Mubeen has demonstrated, we'll be creating a login in our LMS, and then it will be shared to you. So please feel free to practice, and then get yourself familiarized with the web development technology. Okay, take care. All the best. Bye.